Hey everyone, it's Ranger Russ. I am back at the Meigs Point Nature Center, and I have a very special animal to talk about today. I'm really excited. Normally it's in this tank here, but I have it out here so that we can talk about it and you can get a closer look. I want to remind everybody that the parks are open, but please maintain your social distance. We're getting lots of crowds. It's great weather, lots of people coming out. And that's fantastic, but we still need to maintain social distance. So when you're setting up, especially here at Hammonasset, where we have this beautiful long beach, spread yourselves out. Make sure that you have 12, 16 feet between your blanket and the next blanket. That way people can pass between and circle around, and you've got a nice social distance. And when you're walking back and forth between the beach and your car, you cover your face. That'll keep everyone nice and safe. All right. So, very special animal, and I also want to thank everybody. I missed my shows yesterday. I wasn't feeling very well, but lots of people sending out get well soon, and I did, so thank you for that. And now we've got our animal. So today's animal is an oyster toadfish. Okay, now there are a few different names that they go by. I'm going to lower the camera here so you can get a closer look at it. Sometimes they're called an ugly toadfish or a oyster cracker. A bar dog, that's another name that they're called. There we go. Let's get that camera down there so you can get a nice, good look at our oyster toad. All right, hopefully everybody can see that. Now, this fish, there are 80 species of oyster toadfish in the world. Most of them are venomous. Ours, I guess, has venom, but it's not considered venomous to people. But they do have hollow venomous spines that it injects its venom into things. And we should probably talk about the difference between venomous and poisonous. Poisonous would be if you just touched it, it would be poisonous. Venomous, it injects the venom into your bloodstream. So this, the toadfish family are venomous, typically considered venomous. They're called oyster toadfish because they do eat oysters, but they eat everything. They will eat crabs, they will eat oysters and other shellfish, some clams. I have some chunks of fish here, and we're going to drop it down and see if it eats. He's probably a little stressed out because I took him out of the tank that he normally lives in back here and put him in here. But let's see if he'll go for this chunk of fish. And he doesn't seem very interested in it. Now, the main defense of the toadfish, of their entire family, is their camouflage. If you look at this fish, it looks like a rock. If you look at the rocks in the tank behind me, this is where he lives. He'll jam himself into the rocks, and he will actually swim really hard to get down into the rocks. And that way he can blend right in with his surroundings. When you pick them up out of the water, and I'm going to lift him in a second here, they're really soft and squishy. Your fingers feel like he's just going to slide right between your fingers. Really crazy how squishy this fish really is. He is really not going to move here. So he's relying on his camouflage. Animals that have really good camouflage, the thing that defeats camouflage is if they move. So they know not to move. They need to stay in one place. Now, not a lot is known about the oyster toadfish. I know that from about Woods Hole, Massachusetts, south is where you find them, not typically north, up around into Cape Cod and up in Maine. They typically don't have them up there. He's moving his mouth just a little bit, so I wonder if he's realized that there's a chunk of food in front of him. The males will choose a nest spot, and the really crazy thing, they don't care what their nest spot is. It needs to be a cavity. So typically it's going to be a gap in rocks like we have back here is where they're going to go down. They create a little cavity, and then they invite the females to come and lay the eggs. but they have been seen using boots and tin cans, so any cavity is big enough for them to get into it. That's where they're going to lay their eggs. Now this oyster toadfish we've had for a long time. It was about 3 inches when we got it. They will get up to about 15. That would be a really good sized one, occasionally maybe a little bit bigger than that. But usually about a foot is the type that you're going to get. And fishermen do like to fish for them, so they will catch them. So after the female lays the eggs in the cavity, the male will defend the eggs. It takes about a month for the eggs to hatch, and the male will defend those eggs for that month. When the eggs hatch, the small fish, the fry, he will defend those for another 2 to 3 weeks until they're able to swim off on their own. And then he's free and he can go out and take care of himself. So we're going to turn him a little bit so you get a better look at his face. You can see the little barbels coming down from his chin. And they're all irregular shaped, so it looks like seaweed or algae. Could be anything on his mouth. And that helps with the camouflage. And let's see if we can get a little closer here. Take the camera out. And we're going to turn the camera around. There we go. So we can get a nice close look at our toadfish. All right, if anyone has any questions, you can post them at any time, and please continue to put up where you're messaging from. I like to see that. And he's going to leave. Bye-bye. Just going to the other end of the tank. Now you can see our toadfish is quite round. He eats a lot. Typically they're going to eat at nighttime or dusk. So when we put the fish in, he doesn't necessarily eat it right away. Although this guy has gotten used to that over time, and he will come out and grab those chunks of fish. But again, I disturbed him by putting him in here, so he's not as interested in eating the chunk of fish that I gave him. Look at the eyes are raised up, and they can swivel, so he can look around. I mentioned they do eat oysters. That's how they get their name, oyster toadfish. They've got powerful jaws and short, really strong teeth, so they can break the shells of crabs and other shellfish. Let's see, do we have any questions? Not seeing any questions yet, so if you guys have questions, put it up. We're not really sure how long they live. So ours is the eastern toadfish, and I didn't find an age on them. That's one thing that I can't really tell you. So typically, somebody's asking, do they change color? That's a great question. And typically, fish will change. They'll get lighter and darker, depending on the temperature of the water and whether it's light or dark out, and how stressed they are. So there are reasons that they will change their temperature. I mean their color. And the color change, obviously, when it gets darker, they will darken up. That helps them to blend in. When it gets cooler, they darken up, and that helps them blend in as well. Question, are they a deep water fish? These are a shallow water fish. And that's how down in the Caribbean and in tropical areas where you can also find other species of these, people will step on them. And that's how they get the poisons through their foot, or envenomated through the foot, I should say. Restaurants serve these, yes. I've been told that this is a very tasty fish. I do not eat fish, but I've been told that this one is really good. Fishermen like it. So you can see ours, he's probably about 10 inches, maybe 12 inches long. So he's got a little bit of time, he can get a little bit larger. Someone says, I've never seen this fish before. Hope I'm feeling better. I am feeling much better. Look at that face. So most of our volunteers think this is one of the cutest fish that we have here at the Nature Center. I just think he's awesome. Look at that. Just looks like a big rock sitting there. And you can look at those powerful jaws for crushing shellfish. It's got some nice patterning down the back, the stripes on the fins. Let's look at him from the top. Look at those fins on the sides there. Very cool. Look at the stripes on his back. How cool is that? So you can see why our volunteers think this is such a cool fish. And the fact that we raised him from about 2 or 3 inches long to be this big, that makes him, one of the more popular ones, because people have got to watch this fish grow up here at the Nature Center. It is not a stingray. It's not related to the rays at all, actually. This is a bony fish. It has a spine, where the rays are cartilaginous fish. They have cartilage. These actually have bones. Someone's asking, does he only eat shellfish? No. He will eat crabs and other crustaceans. He will catch fish. We did a program earlier on killifish. He'll eat those. Any small fish, any fish small enough that he can get it in his mouth and eat it, he's going to eat it. If you want to see our past programs, you can go onto our website, meggspointnaturecenter.org, the Virtual Learning Center. You can also visit YouTube. All of our programs are saved on our YouTube channel, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get to see all of the new programs. And I have been filming special programs just for YouTube. So there's only a couple up right now, but we'll get some more on there soon. Now I want everyone to notice, look at those dorsal fins, the fins on, not dorsal fins. I'm not remembering the name of the fins on the bottom there, but the fins, the pectoral fins, thank you, Gia. The pectoral fins on the bottom, he's using them like feet. He's sort of sitting right on the bottom. Many bottom-dwelling fish will do this. They settle right down to the bottom, and he's just resting right on those pectoral fins. So really cool. He's just sort of putting on a show for you guys. How do they make the venom? For the venomous fish, and I believe almost every venomous fish has a gland where the venom is produced. It's, if you guys think of it as like your salival gland, where you produce saliva for your mouth and your digestion, he produces venom instead. Or she. I keep saying he. For some reason, I have always called this one a boy, but we don't really know. He's never been with another one, so it's really hard to tell. They are not dimorphic. So, which means the boys and girls look the same. They are monomorphic. All right, there's a really good view of the pattern. And that pattern, that is a camouflage pattern. That's what allows him to blend in with the cracks and gaps in a rocky bottom. with shadows and light going through the water, he will blend right in with all of that. And you can see the barbels on the bottom of his chin. That helped to break up his silhouette to add to the camouflage effect. Lets him blend right in. All right, how many people think this is the coolest animal that they have ever seen? Let's give me some thumbs up if you think this is the coolest animal ever. Because I really think this is the coolest animal. Now, if you visit our virtual learning center, we have a section where people are writing little tidbits. Mostly it's been Diane Joy, but we're asking other authors to submit material. And you can learn about lots of different animals there. She does a different animal every day, and I think we've got, I don't know, there must be 50 different animals up there. I haven't got to read them all. The first one she sent me was dragonflies, and I was so fascinated by it, I had to do a dragonfly program. So you can visit there. You can also get crossword puzzles, word searches, mazes, all sorts of fun activities. There's a list of vocabulary words that goes with the videos. These programs will continue. I don't know if we're going to continue them twice a day. We might reduce it down to once a day. But we'll have to see how many programs I can come up with. I'm running out of live animals to use, so we may have to go out in the woods and see if I can just find an animal. But I really want to continue doing these programs. This afternoon, I will be going out into the salt marsh. So we're going to do a salt marsh program. I've had a few requests for this program, so hopefully everyone can tune in at 2 o'clock for our salt marsh program. And again, if you miss the programs live, you can visit YouTube and see them, or the website, eggspointnaturecenter.org. So again, thank you all for tuning in today. If you have any questions, if you're not watching this live, you can post your questions, and we'll try and answer them, or you can send us a message through our website or through Facebook, and we will try and answer them. How cool is that? So please subscribe, follow, like, whatever platform you're on. Let everybody know how cool this is. And I will see you all this afternoon at 2 o'clock from our salt marsh.